Welcome back to Arise and Shine. Living Colour was one of the hottest bands to come out in the 1990s. Their debut album went double platinum, and they were the first black band to win a Grammy Awards in the hard rock category. Vernon Reid was a man that made it happen. I am such a music geek, and has gone on to further success as an artist, composer, and producer. And he recently came in at number 66 in Rolling Stone magazine's list of 100 greatest guitarists of all time. He's here to kick off our African American Visionary series, and what a great way to get started. I'm such a fan. I so wanted to be a rock and roller because of you. So,
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So when your band won its first Grammy, what went through your head? Was it surreal, or were you expecting it?
It was surreal. I expected nothing. I mean, in the sense that the whole time we were a local band playing in New York clubs, playing at places like CBGB's, and every step of the way was special. Every step of the way. The first time we played the club and it was filled. When we actually signed a recording contract in the dressing room of the club. I mean, it was all that sort of stuff.
So how did it change your life? And the lives of your bandmates?
Well, you know, it changed our lives, like, fundamentally. You know, more people knew about us. We had opportunities to meet with some of our heroes. I remember playing in San Francisco and Carlos Santana was standing by the side of the stage.
That's awesome.
And that completely freaked me out, you know,
Right,
you know
sure.
what I mean? And so meeting people like, having met people like Mick Jagger and the Stones, and great musicians.
Right, and so your band has broken up and gotten back together a few times. What's the band up to these days?
We're working on a record currently. It's going to be called Shade, and it's our sound with a kind of a blue tinge to it.
So you're known for pushing the musical boundaries. Why is that important to you?
Well, it's important because all the music that I grew up listening to was kind of boundary pushing. I mean, the first time I heard Sly Stone on the radio, the first time I heard Jimi Hendrix, the first time I heard Cream, you know, all of these artists, and then of course all the jazz artists I was exposed to, like John Coltrane or Ornette Coleman, and then to find out that Carlos Santana was influenced by John Coltrane, that Frank Zappa was influenced by Eric Dolphy. I mean, those kind of connections had a big influence on me.
Right.
And you've collaborated with a number of artists. Do you have any favorite memories or favorite projects throughout the years?
Well, I think one of my most favorite memories is connecting with Jack Bruce, the bass player from Cream, and working on some of his solo projects, and in fact doing a project dedicated to music of Tony Williams, called Spectrum Road, which included Cindy Blackman Santana and John Medeski, and that was it was very special.
So tell us more about the artists that you're pushing forward, and also how are you working for them to even push the boundaries? Well,
part of the thing of working with artists is just telling them that they're okay, that what you're doing is the right thing. You know, I worked recently with a violinist named Mass Swift, she's a concert-trained violinist and vocalist, and is a fantastic musician. And one of the things that was told to me by an artist was that you have to give yourself permission, and part of the thing is, like, other part of it is getting out of the way of the thing that you're creating. And just looking at, like, a band like Unlocking the Truth.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you about them. How did you get involved with them?
Well, I met them on the set of Totally Biased.
Okay.
And actually, subsequently, you know, the band, other members of Living Colour have become involved. Our bass player, Doug Wimbish, has been working with them a lot and helping them out. So, you know, and personally, seeing a guitarist like Malcolm Brickhouse, you know, I think about it, I think about Hendrix and Santana influencing me, and then seeing someone like Malcolm, who's grown up with people like myself, Tom Morello and people like that, and see him starting to find his own voice. It's
inspiring, right?
Very inspiring. Thank you.
Oh, we know that Vernon Reid is passionate about his music. Coming up, we find out about the upcoming projects that are closest to his heart and where he'll show up next. Stay tuned. You're watching Arise and Shine. Welcome back to Arise and Shine. We're talking with the man who turned rock music on its ear in the 90s with the band Living Colour. But Vernon's got more projects up his sleeve. I know you've also been First of all, I think you want a cup of coffee. Is that correct?
Yeah, great.
So you know what?
Great.
We have our awesome barista here, Jonathan. Shout out to Jonathan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I drink the coffee?
You can.
Okay.
You
It's
absolutely
drinkable.
can drink it as well, yes. And I know you were checking out Jonathan's bow tie. He has pretty good style, doesn't he? You guys should collaborate.
Excellent bow tie. Excellent bow tie.
Okay, but getting back to all your amazing accomplishments, I know that you've also produced music for TV and film. Is that right? And tell us a little bit about that. And do you have any upcoming projects in that?
Well, I just finished a project that I've been working with a film director, Thomas Allen Harris. We've been working for a while on a documentary about photography, and the whole premise of the photography is speaking about the history of black photography, but also the history of black photographers, but also the history of African Americans and blacks in the diaspora as subjects of photography. And we collaborated on a film called Through a Lens Darkly. And that was a real, very eye-opening experience. Like, there were things that I learned in the making of the film about the images and the different people who made those images. You know, everyone from Roy DeCarava to Gordon Parks. And
so do you, like, look at the images and then that inspires you to create a certain kind of sound?
Absolutely, absolutely. Looking at that and hearing the different photographers talk about it. Like, one of the things that got me was that I didn't know that they sold tickets to lynchings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They did.
Like,
yep,
that was
yes,
like, it was like invitations.
Wow.
So that was, you know, it was not those events were not just spur of the moment,
right?
You know, rage events. They were actually planned.
Yeah. And I think that's really neat. You get a chance to learn about history, and then it's also provoking certain emotions that must, you know, influence your music.
And so how do you feel, what's the difference between, let's say, you know, writing a song as opposed to then composing for an actual, you know, film or a TV show?
Well, the thing that both of them have in common is connecting. Like when I co-wrote the song "Middleman" that's on the first record with Corey Glover, you know, there was a moment of connection. Or when, you know, we wrote the song "Cult of Personality," like the four of us were in a rehearsal.
I hear that and my head just wants to go. You know?
Yeah, and we started the rehearsal and there was no Cult of Personality. And at the end of the rehearsal, there was, and we played it at our very next gig. With movies, it's a lot of looking, and then whenever the first theme or first melody comes up and it feels right, it's the thing is, like, presenting a song to an audience, you never know how it's going to be. If you present like a cue to the director and the producer, you don't know how they're going to react, if they're going to go, oh, that works, or no, that's a bit too much.
That's not what I was going for. And I know also in your career you've worked with so many different artists. I mean, the list is probably endless, but Cindy Blackman Santana and the late, great Jack Bruce. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that, you know, Jack is just a person that, I mean, when I was a child, I remember hearing the riff to Sunshine of Your Love. And I remember thinking, like, that is rock music.
Right.
You know, it's not rock and roll. That's, you know, it was something that I identified just like hearing Foxy Lady for the first time. And so as fate would have it, you know, Jack reached out to me to play on a record, A Question of Time. And ever since we met, we've had an affinity, and you know, losing him is a real personal blow, because it's not just a great, famous musician. I mean, he was someone that I've come to love. You know, he's someone that I really connected with, and I connected with him, but he also connected with me, and his sense of history, and how much he fought for music.
Right.
Like, he was a musician first and a rock star second. And so he influenced so many different people across very different genres. You know, how close he was to Bernie Worrell.
Right.
You know, how Bernie Worrell from Parliament Funkadelic, and how we considered Bernie Worrell like a brother to him. You know, those things, you know, had a big impact.
You know, and one of the things that I love, not like your plate isn't full enough, you know, one of the things I love too is that you're doing a concert for Ebola relief with Jeffrey Wright,
who
also is another one of my favorite actors, who I think should have played my dad, by the way. I'm just saying, he would have been appropriate.
Well, Jeffrey reached out to me.
Wonderful.
And we're in the planning stages of exactly what it's going to be, and talking about corralling artists to really deal with education, to deal with effective treatment,
right.
and to also deal with the fear and misinformation that's surrounding
right.
The disease, and also how that fear and these misunderstandings are affecting real people.
Right.
Like people become abstractions when actually they're real, they're real human beings that are affected by it.
Well, thank you so much for joining
us
today,
Vernon. It was such an honor to meet you.
Right.
Thank you for having me.
Fan. Airbnb is the hottest alternative to pricey hotel accommodations, but there are risks that arise that can make your stay a nightmare. We have helpful etiquette hints to assure your home away from home is a happy experience. It's all ahead on Arise and Shine.